Hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome to The Well, your source for the latest in the field of after school and summer learning programs. Today is a dream come true for me because we have the myth, the legend, the one and only, aka my professional crush, Miss Lindsay Callahan, President and CEO of the United Way of Fresno and Madera counties. Hey, what's up, Lindsay?
How you doing, Bruno?
Excellent. Excellent to have you here on the channel. The one thing I didn't mention to the folks out in the field about you is that you are also a leading voice in the Sisters Inspiring Change movement, and you just been creating impact for decades now in the field of after school and summer learning programs. So everybody wants to know, how did you get started in the field?
Yeah, I appreciate you aging me, saying decades. So yes, we are up to decades now. I'm not sure how that happened. So, Bruno, I got started in after school in kind of an interesting way. I was working in the state capitol as a young professional, and working for then Speaker Hertzberg, and was carrying a lot of his legislative package. I had a couple of bills that really were essentially what were my entree to after school. One was a bill that was related to building community schools that would align with the then ASL program,
Mm-hmm.
for Learning in Safe Neighborhoods Partnerships program. So that bill was to fund some pilots that would look like community schools. So that was way back in the day. The other bill was a bill that was aligned with the San Francisco Beacon Center initiative and Michael Funk's
Michael Funk.
So I remember one of my very first site visits was actually out to Michael Funk's site before Michael Funk became the Michael Funk.
Right.
So I've known Michael since I was very, very young, and we worked on some bills together. So anyway, so from there, I loved being in the field. I loved learning about these programs, and really, of all the bills that I worked on, and I worked on a lot of bills related to human services and consumer protection, but this was really where my heart was. And I was recruited to work for the Foundation Consortium for California's Children and Youth, straight out of the Capitol, and chose to do that instead of going to work for a lobbying firm.
Right.
So I entered into this nonprofit world and began working for the Foundation Consortium, and with the then California After School Partnership, which was a partnership between the foundations and the California Department of Education,
Right.
to improve the quality of after school programs and to get more funding into after school programs.
Yeah. Yeah. So listen, Lindsay, so the unicorn out in the field with our site coordinators, our line staff, is that they want to make it a career in after school and summer learning programs field. They just don't know how to get started, where to get started. And what I keep telling them, it's that if we're passionate about what we're passionate about and we continue in that path, these programs could serve as a vehicle to achieve our own goals and dreams. So let me ask you this simple question. It's not so simple. Why do you do what you do?
Why do I do what I do? There's not any one reason, but the primary reason that I do what I do is the reason we all do it. It's not for the paycheck, because quite frankly, I could make a lot more money doing a lot of other things. It really is for the kids. When I was growing up, I grew up in really like a tale of two cities and tale of two education systems. Better yet, I grew up in a town that was had a school district that was very well financed, and my mother worked in a school district that was neighbor to us that was not as well financed and was struggling. She was a year-round teacher, and so I spent most of my summers with her teaching. So when I was in fifth grade, I was helping teach her sixth graders. When I was in sixth grade, I was helping teach her kindergartners.
Right.
And it became very clear to me very quickly that I had opportunities and parts of my education that other kids didn't have the opportunity to have. So I had access to the arts. I had access to, through not just music, but music and performing arts and so on and so forth. I had access to whatever sports I wanted to play, whether I knew how to catch a ball or didn't, and I didn't.
Right.
And I was C team most of the time. I'm a horrible athlete, except for swimming. I can swim. And that there were really these opportunities that were were shaping my education and shaping my future that other kids didn't have access to. And so the reason that I do this work is so for all those kids that I worked with all those summers and all those breaks who didn't have the same access that I did to opportunities, so that they can have the access to opportunities. And that's why I love out of school time, because it's a platform for so many things and so many experiences, and continues to be.
Right, right. And you have done so much, right? When I first went to work for the California After School Network a couple of years back, you know, there were all these stories about the Miss Lindsay Callahan
Oh Lord.
and whatever those stories were, right? And so, but the question really is, what is the one piece of work or the one story or the one staff member or the one student that you remember the most that you always take with you in your heart as you continue your journey?
One story. Oh gosh. So, for me, it is all the kids that I see on the site visits, because I wasn't in direct service before I got into this work. And I remember going to a site in East LA, and understanding suddenly, which was probably a delayed understanding, that when kids saw me, they saw something different, and that
Mm.
they saw an opportunity when they saw me. And it was always exciting for me to go to those sites. So I remember meeting a group of girls at that site, and this was very early in my career, when I had this realization that and sometimes I was going to be the only female of color in a leadership position that they saw all day for a
Right.
week, years. And that the way that I presented myself and the way that I interacted with them was really, really important. And owning that has been really important to me. And that's been part of what we've done with the Sisters Inspiring Change group, is really to own your impact on other people, and to really be intentional about how you engage with other people, and particularly with kids who one interaction could change the whole way that they look at the world. And that's really, really important. And overall, we get really caught up in what's happening with our own agendas, and those are adult agendas. And at the end of the day, no matter what's happening in after school, and no matter how hard this work is, we all do it for the kids, and we all do it to change kids' lives.
Yeah, most definitely. And I'm so proud of the work that's being done around the Sisters Inspiring Change, specifically around mentoring and how do we hand hold our staff, no matter the age. I think everyone could use some hand holding at some point in their career. So within that, who can you think that has helped you in your professional development, your leadership development, who has really guided you through your journey and through your work? Can you think of that person?
There's not any one person, but I happen to be here at a retreat with one of my best professional friends for years, and that's Jennifer Peck. She's We have gone on this journey together. She's usually about 5 miles out in front of me, because she's much smarter than I am, and very charismatic and gets the job done. And we've been on this journey for a long time. And I remember there were days when we weren't sure that our organizations were going to make it at different times, and having those conversations about, like, how am I actually going to make payroll, and how am I actually going to make this work? And this foundation dipped out. Now what do I do? So we still, to this day, I value that, because having someone who is in the same boat with you, who can see your journey and appreciate it and give you guidance, but at the same time you give it back to them as well, is so valuable. And she's the type of person, if you don't know Jennifer, you should get to know her, because she's a vibrant personality, and really sees things in a way that most folks just don't. And it has really helped to build this field and get it to where it is. And she's aggressive. She will get things done, and has really encouraged me in my path to do better, to be better, and frankly, to believe in myself. And that's at the core of it what we all need to do.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I'll definitely link up Jennifer's Partnership for Children and Youth organization description and links in the description below. And for me, that person is Diego Arancibia, right?
Yeah.
And how cool is it that we can have colleagues that always pick up the phone, that always hear our struggles, offer solutions, and help us to dream, right? Is this idea of people in your network and in your circle that help you to dream and move forward, because this work is hard at every level.
That's right.
So the last question that I have for you, Lindsay, is what is one book that you're currently reading, one resource, one thing, one piece of advice that you would give to our up and coming line staff and site coordinators as they move up in their journey in after school and summer learning program field?
So that's probably two questions, Bruno.
I try to
Telling.
get in as many
I
questions as I
know.
can during our time.
So the book that I'm reading people should pick it up because it's compelling, and it's applicable to this question about how I move and navigate and rise up in this field or in any other field, quite frankly. And that's it's called The End of Men and the Rise of Women. Have you read it?
Not yet, but I will now.
So my new friend recommended it to me. I'm on the board with him, and he recommended I look into it. And it's been a very compelling read. I don't agree with all of it, but the essential heart of it is about the fact that we're going into this post-manufacturing, post-industrial economy and society, and what that means for how we work, what that means for our personal relationships, and so on and so forth. And we joke about all the time about the brothers and the sisters that we do business differently, right? That we have a different how we do business. And if we're sort of one anecdote, then it probably is true that men and women are in fact different. And the bottom line of this, though, of what I've taken away, is that if we're not willing to be flexible and to adapt to our current systems and structures and demands, we will actually die on the vine. And as the recession happened, what happened was that men were laid off at higher rates than women were, particularly if men are in manufacturing type jobs, and that we're seeing women rise up. And so what happens as women rise up and sort of change their position in the world? Now, we still have a wage gap, so that's kind of just say all that. The point is that you can be anything that you want to be. When you put your mind to it, you can do it. And if you are willing to sort of see what's out in the environment and really figure out how you adapt your personality, your approach, really, even more than your personality, to get the job done, then you have something. And as a person who spends a lot of time in rooms with people who look nothing like me, in fact, look like the opposite of me, adaptability is everything. And that's what after school's about. I mean, remember, right? We're always adapting, we're always changing. Nothing is ever perfect. There's not linear, and we have to figure out how to make it happen. And so the book's been compelling, and I recommend it. You know, just because it's written doesn't mean it's all true, but it is a compelling read because the theme is something that, as you are developing as a leader, you need to take on, really.
Yeah, so I'll definitely link up that book on the description below, just for my audience out there to know the behind the scenes of the Sisters Inspiring Change. They have all of their meetings laid out for the year. They have agendas, they have objectives. And the big joke is that the My Brother's Keeper Collaborative, the men's side of the house, we kind of just hop on the phone or get together. We open up a couple of bags of Dorito chips, and the work still gets done, and we continue to move communities forward together. And I think that's the key here, that we do it together, that it is about continuing to move communities forward with ideas and just really a lot of hard work. So, Lindsay, thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate you. We appreciate you for what you do in the field still, and how you carry yourself that makes us aspire to go to that next level and dream big. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Bruno. You have a great day.
Great, you do the same.